Thursday, May 26. I'm Raquel Jones. The number of civilians killed in the ongoing battle involving the security forces and criminals in sections of downtown Kingston has reached 44. This is 18 more than was reported by the police yesterday. The latest figure was revealed last night by political ombudsman Bishop Harold Blair, who, along with a team, toured Tivoli Gardens yesterday to assess the operations being carried out by the security forces. The team, which included Public Defender Earl Witter, was sent in by Prime Minister Bruce Golding to ascertain the precise number of persons who have been killed or injured. However, Bishop Blair says based on information he received, the security forces have been acting in a professional manner in trying to restore order to communities in downtown Kingston. Meanwhile, the public defender is raising questions about the number of persons killed by the security forces versus the number of illegal firearms seized. Mr. Witter says he was told that 4 guns, including an AK-47 rifle, had been found since the operation started 3 days ago. However, he says he's puzzled by the disparity between those killed and firearms discovered. While hinting that he's not fully satisfied with the explanation given by the security forces, Mr. Witter says his office will be closely monitoring the situation. And help is coming today for residents of West Kingston who have been marooned in their homes since Sunday and are now running out of food. Bishop Blair says special arrangements have been made for supplies to be transported to the area starting this morning. And for the 4th consecutive day, police and soldiers are continuing the massive operation in West Kingston in search of Christopher Dudas Coke. The security forces have been in Tivoli Gardens since Sunday after violence escalated following the issuing of a warrant for Mr. Coke to be extradited to the United States to face drugs and gun charges. And TVJ News has just received reports that gunshots are now being fired at Oakland Road off Waltham Park Road in Kingston. TVJ News has not confirmed this, but our news team is currently investigating. We will have more details for you as soon as it becomes available. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Bruce Golding has categorically denied and dismissed as extremely offensive reports carried yesterday by the ABC television network in the United States. Mr. Golding says he's also outraged by an article in Britain's Independent newspaper. The two media entities made damning allegations about the Prime Minister. In a statement issued last night, the Prime Minister said both reports were clearly part of a conspiracy to undermine the government. Mr. Golding said the reports have made damaging and libelous assertions which must be dismissed with the contempt that they deserve. And speaking on TVJ's primetime news last night, Information Minister Dara Vaz hinted that ABC could find itself in legal hot water. Meanwhile, the Press Association of Jamaica, the PAJ, said it is disturbed about the reports of threats being made on members of the media fraternity. In a statement last night, the PAJ said these threats come amid the growing standoff between the security forces and hoodlums in sections of West Kingston. It further stated that attacks on members of the press are an attack on democracy, a very important pillar upon which our society is built. The PAJ urged members of the media to be very careful while they discharge their duty of informing Jamaica on every aspect of this developing story in an impartial and professional manner. The PAJ also urged members of the public to show support to all journalists at this time and to frown at any threat or incident that is geared towards preventing media practitioners from doing their work. And the police were set upon all sides in the city yesterday. Criminals launched an all-out attack on police stations and in one instance fired directly on the K9 division of the police force located at Harmon Barracks. Guns barked across the city as an all-out war between state forces and the lawless played out on the streets of Kingston. Kirkwright did the rounds.
Never before has there been such an all-out attack on police stations across Kingston. Days ago, criminals set fire to the Hannahtown station. They struck again last night. This time, the Darling Street police station was their target. The blaze did extensive damage to the entire building. And still in the corporate area, the Kingston Central Police had a hard time warding off men from the surrounding communities. In the midst of it all, the police had to be careful not to shoot bystanders who continued to defy orders to stay off the streets.
Big man, yo, come on, follow it.
A contingent of soldiers passing through the area at one point provided temporary support for the police officers. It was tough maintaining law and order for a couple of hours, but the police stood their ground and ensured they weren't surprised by gunmen disguised as passengers. They picked up a man of interest during a search of this bus. Every unmarked car passing by the station was a potential threat to the police until they could verify its occupants. The police were intent on occupying the entire East Queen Street, even if it meant calling for backup. There is no concrete evidence to suggest that the attacks on police stations are coordinated. But while the Kingston Central Police were busy warding off gunmen, their colleagues were also busy trying to find men who had attacked their K9 division at Harman Barracks. The police followed strict orders to search all emergency vehicles. An elderly man on a bicycle was arrested for carrying an M16 round concealed in a glasses case. Deeper in the downtown business district, soldiers ruled the streets. Their numbers grew as you got closer to Tivoli Gardens. They monitored every corner. This mentally ill man failed to get their attention. Broken stalls littered Darling Street and the surrounding area. Soldiers strategically placed on buildings in Tivoli Gardens overlooking the area. Sandbags put in place to offer guard against enemy fire. The media was not allowed anywhere near the entrance to the Tivoli Gardens community. Thugs had to beat a hasty retreat when police arrived along Slipen Road near Torrington Bridge, where a roadblock was mounted.
We go now to news overseas. Authorities in Poland are preparing to raise a red alert as water levels continue to rise in that part or in parts of the country.
In the town of Czew, 36 kilometers from Gdansk, the crest of the flood has passed and the dikes have held so far. Not so in the region of Masovia, northwest of Warsaw. 23 villages have been inundated in the area. Teams in dinghies and amphibious vehicles are going from village to village, evacuating people from their homes. But many residents are reluctant to leave their houses for fear of looting. They're being given emergency supplies of food and drinking water. The Interior Ministry has warned of the risk of disease due to the number of animal carcasses drifting in the floodwaters. In southern Poland, where the disaster first struck, the scale of the damage is now becoming clear. Many buildings have been damaged, others have collapsed. The government has earmarked the equivalent of 480 million euros to help the victims, a further burden on the already cash-strapped country.
And that is your first news for this Wednesday. I'm Raquel Jones. Next we have This Day in Sports, followed by a weather report. We invite you to stay with us.